You've seen the phrase, you've probably even used it. It's everywhere, right? It's a joke, a meme, something we scroll past and barely think about. But what if it's more than that? What if it's actually a pretty profound, maybe even unsettling observation about the way we think today? That's what we're going to explore, what it really means when we say, bro, thought he cooked. Just let that sit there for a second. You can almost hear it, can't you? You see it in the comments, you see it in the replies. It has become this instant, shared language online, a simple, forward verdict on an idea or a take or an argument. And it's so easy to just file it away as another piece of internet slang that'll be gone in a year. But it's worth taking a moment to actually ask, what is it that we're communicating with this phrase? What is the underlying idea that makes it resonate so strongly with so many people, so instantly? What is it tapping into? Well, at its heart, the phrase is all about a disconnect. It's about that moment you see someone present an idea with total, unshakable certainty. They have all the style, all the flair, like a master chef presenting their masterpiece. But then, when you actually look at what they've made, there's nothing there. It's a beautifully presented but ultimately empty plate. It's all performance with no substance behind it. And this is a really, really important distinction to make. The meme isn't about intelligence. It's not calling someone dumb. No, it's pointing to something else. It's pointing to a failure of process. It's about someone who skipped the hard part, the hidden essential work of actually thinking before they decided to speak. So this is the real tension, isn't it? It's the gap between these two very different things. Confidence on one side and understanding on the other. See, confidence is an external thing. It's a performance. It's something you project outward to an audience. But understanding, that's a quiet internal state. It's something you have to earn, usually through a pretty messy process. The person who thought he cooked has perfected the performance of confidence without ever doing the work to gain the understanding. So you have to wonder, why does this feel so common right now? Why do we see this behavior everywhere we look online? Well, maybe it's because the environment itself, our whole digital world, it has a very clear preference. It's designed to reward one of those qualities far more than the other. Just think for a second about what our online spaces are optimized for. What gets rewarded? Not careful, nuanced clarity, but the bold confidence that grabs attention. Not depth, which takes a lot of time to develop, but speed, being the first one with a hot take. And this last one is key. Not original thinking, but repeating. It is so much easier, so much faster to just echo a thought you just heard than to do the slow, hard work of forming your own. This quote, this really gets to the core of it. Let's just sit with this for a moment. The feeling of understanding, it's like a counterfeit currency. It feels good. It gives you the satisfaction of knowing something, but without any of the struggle it takes to actually learn it. It's that warm, satisfying glow of insight. But you bought it cheap, just by repeating something you scrolled past a minute ago. And that's why it's so seductive, you know? It costs nothing. It requires zero effort to just adopt an opinion, to say it out loud, to find a little corner of the internet where everyone else is repeating the exact same thing right back to you. It feels like you've done the work. It feels like knowledge. But it's an illusion, a very comfortable, very validating illusion. But actual thinking, the real cooking, to use the meme's metaphor, that's a completely different animal. It has nothing to do with performance or speed or getting that quick feeling of satisfaction. It's a practice, and it's often a very difficult, quiet, and private practice. And this is what that practice actually looks like. First, it's quiet. Real thinking rarely happens out in the open, in the noise. It happens in solitude. It happens when you're reading or just reflecting. Second, it's slow. It doesn't move at the speed of social media. It takes time to gather things, to hold opposing ideas in your head at the same time, to just let something sink in. And third, it's messy. It's filled with doubt. It's full of wrong turns and dead ends and that awful sinking feeling when you realize you were wrong about something. It doesn't look like a confident performance at all. It looks like a struggle. And this is the result of that environment we were talking about. In a system that rewards speed above everything else, the people who we hear from the most aren't necessarily the ones who have thought about something the longest or the deepest. They're just the ones who got their opinion out there first. They won the race. And we've kind of been trained to mistake that speed for smarts. But there's one last piece to this puzzle, a much more personal one. Why is this meme so funny to us? What is that little hit of satisfaction we get when we type, "bro thought he cooked"? Maybe it's because it's a kind of shield. It's a way to point outward so we don't have to do the uncomfortable work of looking inward. And this is the really hard question that this whole meme is hiding, isn't it? It is so much easier to laugh at someone else's unearned confidence than it is to pause for a second before we hit post or before we speak in a meeting and ask ourselves that quiet, tough question. Have I really cooked this idea? Or am I just serving up that easy, counterfeit feeling of understanding? I want you to think about a time. Maybe you were in a debate, totally sure you were right, and then someone asked a simple question that just made your whole argument fall apart. Remember that feeling? That sudden, hot flush of embarrassment? That moment when you truly see the huge gap between the confidence you were projecting and what you actually knew? We're taught to feel shame in that moment, to see it as a failure. But what if that's not failure? What if that moment, that uncomfortable, humbling moment of realizing your own ignorance, what if that's the whole point? It's not the end of the conversation. It is the beginning of thinking. It's the necessary first step. It is the price of admission for any real learning, for any real cooking to take place. It's the doorway out of the illusion. So, in the end, the question this meme leaves us with isn't really about other people. It's not about all the bros online. It's about us. We all crave that feeling of understanding. But are we willing to do the quiet and the slow and the messy work it takes to get to the real thing? In a world that just wants the performance, where do you find the space and the courage to truly begin to think?